Welcome back to Nourished and Free, the podcast. I am really excited for you to listen to today's episode all on the topic of body image. This is something that is a very difficult subject to talk about, but it's so important that we do talk about it because as you're going to learn more in this episode, it has such a deep impact on us that a lot of times we don't even realize. And that awareness can be honestly just revolutionary for us being able to take steps forward in our relationships with food and with ourselves and even with others, and being able to feel more content and at peace in this life that we live. If you don't know me yet, my name is Michelle Yates, a registered dietitian with my master's in health psychology and a certified health mindset coach. I love helping women live more nourished and free, nourished and healthy, and taking care of themselves and fueling themselves well, obviously, but also free from the body image things or the toxic relationships with food that they find stressful or is bringing them down. So to have this discussion of body image today, I'm so thrilled to have our body image therapist, Dani, coming on the show to talk about the importance of body image and how, well, really just the surprising ways that it impacts us, and to give us some new language and categories of ways that we can think about what we're experiencing when we think about our bodies. Dani is an eating disorder therapist, binge eating, and body image coach, and she has been our body image coach in the Nourished and Free program ever since May of 2023. We talk in the episode about trying to figure out how long we've been working together, and I am looking at it now. It's been a year and a half. So we have absolutely loved having her and the insight that she brings. I think that having that multidisciplinary approach is so important. And if you don't know what I mean by that, I just mean multiple kinds of professions. So me as a registered dietitian, her as a mental health therapist, we both bring different skills and expertise and insights to the equation. And it's been so good to have her as a part of this process, to be able to fill in some gaps that I'm personally not able to fill with our clients and vice versa. And with her specialty in body image, she is, we were just talking after we stopped recording and she was like, this is my bread and butter. And I just love that about her. I love that this is her bread and butter and that she can talk about it all day long, because it is a difficult topic and it's something that we don't typically like to broach the subject of. But holy cow, is it important. It is one of the core parts of the Nourished and Free process is body image, because it can impact and usually does impact your relationship with food at a really deep level. So super excited for you to listen to this episode. If you absolutely love this discussion, please let us know by leaving a rating and review. You can do that either on Apple or Spotify. A lot of people don't know you can do that in Spotify as well. And then I will put all of Dani's information in the show notes as well. If you'd like to work with both of us and become more nourished and free, feel free to check out the show notes for how to apply to work with us and be a part of the process. Welcome to the show, Dani.
Thank you.
So excited to have you. I've been scheming about having you on for a long time, but now we're finally getting to it, and I'm so glad.
Yeah. After so long.
I know, after so long. We've literally been working together for 2 years now. Mm-hmm. Has it been that? I think it has been that long, right? 2 years?
I feel like a year and something. I don't know if it's been 2 years.
Yeah. We're
getting
close.
For sure. Yeah, we're getting close.
Yeah. Well, why don't you take a second and tell the listeners more about your work, what you focus on with clients, and also just I think it's always fun to hear what got you into this work as well and why you're passionate about it.
Yeah. So I'm a mental health counselor. I usually specialize with eating disorders, and I'm a body image and binge eating coach. So I've been working with women who struggle with eating disorders for I think more than 12 years now in different roles. Little by little, I was guided more towards the mental health role. I actually studied, what's it called? Culinary nutrition. And yeah, it was fun.
Oh, so you're an amazing cook then?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense, because you told me you like cooking. Okay, it's all clicking.
Yeah, always. I only like it because I know how to do it really quick. I'm very good. But so when I studied that, I knew that I could have a short road into becoming a dietitian because I already had like some of the nutrition background, and I was thinking about getting my master's, and I was like, this isn't fully like grabbing my attention because I wanted to expand my knowledge on just working with eating disorders. To me, it was like fascinating. And then I was like, no, let me try and see if mental health counseling kind of fills that gap for me. And I became obsessed. I read into it, and then just like the behavior behind eating and just how that impacts a person and what leads them to have like this relationship with food, just completely, I fell in love with it. And I was like, I already have a little bit of nutrition background, so I was like, let me just go ahead and do like the mental health piece.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think also me struggling with my own struggles with food, and I had some binge eating there. I had a lot of emotional eating. And when I started to work with like a dietitian, and then just like my peers also that were experts in eating disorders as well, it just really filled me up. And then I started to do mental health counseling. And little by little, I started to go also more towards that body image piece, also from doing my own work. And now just like feeling a lot better. And it just, it kind of like brought me my own experience and kind of like my interest in the field. It just brought me to, where I am today.
I love that. I feel like it's so common that people in the eating disorders field are like, yeah, I'm here because I get it. And also because you've gotten to the other side and you're like, wow, this is so worth it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel so much better. I want other people to experience this.
And it's powerful too.
It is.
Yeah.
It's kind of rare to meet somebody. I don't think I personally have ever met anybody that works in eating disorders that doesn't have some story to some degree of being like, yeah, I struggled, you know? But yeah, I don't think I realized your decision-making point of like, well, I could be a dietitian. I've already got quite a bit of background there, but I could also be a mental health counselor, and maybe I should do that instead. I think that's so cool. Like the combination of the two is so like there's so much overlap, I feel like, in the eating disorders practitioners' roles. And I feel like it's always better that you have at least a little bit of both, and then you've got your extra special thing, because there is so much overlap.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a similar decision-making point. Obviously, I chose the other one, but where I was like, well, I know I want to work with eating disorders. Maybe I should be a therapist. And I was like, well, I like the nutrition side.
No way, that's so funny. I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
We went the opposite route.
Yeah, but then it's like, well, there's still so much psychology involved, even in the like when you're talking about the nutrition piece too. Like there's still so much mindset stuff going on. And so I tried to get some more understanding on that. But anyway, so with body image, with that being, obviously you're our body image coach and Nourished and Free. That's your jam. And I love that it's your jam. Tell me more about why you feel like it's important for people to focus on body image. I know that's a really loaded question, but like just take that however you want. Why do you think it's important? Because I think a lot of times we don't necessarily think about, oh, maybe I need to do body image work, right? It's like, I need to change my body so that I like it now.
Yeah.
But we don't ever think about, maybe there's something deeper here. Why don't I like my body? You know what I mean?
And I think, like you mentioned, like we've been taught to just criticize our bodies and change it in order to be happy with it, instead of, wait, what's actually making me have such trouble with myself and my body? So I think a lot of people aren't really aware of how their relationship with their body impacts their life, number one, but specifically their relationship with food. And that's something, I think, I worked in a residential eating disorder facility, and you just see so many people just be in a war with their bodies, right? And a lot of people, even clinicians, were like, I kind of don't know how to deal with this, right? And to me, I think doing my work helped me so much to really understand the fat phobia, the social aspect to it. Like there's so many things that impact your body image, and then that impacting your relationship with food, right? So I always say, like, if your relationship with food is tumultuous because you're scared of gaining weight, then that sounds like the root of the issue instead of just the food, right? So obviously it depends on the person and it depends on the eating disorder, but if this is something that is causing you to have this relationship with food, then shouldn't we really tackle that and that difficulty?
Yes.
And then the layers that are like in body, because body image, I always say, is super layered.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a very delicate subject because it depends on the person, what kind of like relationship they have with their body. It depends on what impacts their body image. It could be trauma, it could be upbringing, it could be culture. There's so many things. So I feel like it was something that was seen as important. Like people didn't really know how to tackle it very well because it's like also sometimes there's so many like taboo topics with body image that people are like scared to touch on. So I think people get like nervous to really go in deep. And I'm like, no, let's dive in. I'm like, where are my goggles? Where's my snorkel? Let's go. Like, we have to. We have to, because
At
if
first,
not,
maybe we're diving.
yeah, if not, then we're not really doing much for our clients. So yeah, I think that's where like my mind goes when it comes to treating body image.
Yeah, I love that so much. It's like kind of that root approach. I feel like the getting to the roots, quote unquote, has kind of been co-opted by people who are trying to sell gimmicks, but it's also very applicable here, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, like if your relationship with food is difficult because there's this fear of your body looking a certain way, then doesn't it make sense to address that? And that's, I think, to your point, there's not always a lot of awareness about that actually is an issue that needs addressing. And that's a part of the reason, well, that is the reason that I work it into our process with Nourished and Free, because it's like, let's talk about it. You know, like almost every single person that goes through this process that thinks, well, I don't really know that I need the body image piece. They get into it. They're like, oh, wow, there was a lot that I did not realize was going on there.
Yeah.
And then it ends up being the thing that needs the most work, you know, because there is a lot of layers. You mentioned a word that not all of our listeners might be aware of, which is fatphobia. So fill us in on how you would describe that and how that can impact people.
Well, fat phobia is, well, I think people change fat phobia and weight stigma. So it's just the experience that somebody in a bigger body, or what I call like a not straight body, right? A body that can just like fit in a chair and in a roller coaster and just like get equal access to the world, clothing. It's the experience that they have with microaggressions, macroaggressions on how people treat them because of their bodies. And this is a negative experience that can create trauma, negative beliefs about themselves, just like so many things that come from experiencing that fat phobia. So it could be from somebody looking at them, I don't know, in a wrong way when they're eating because they're being judgmental of their body, all the way to somebody commenting on their body, I don't know, at the holiday party or like something like that, that just people experience that impact them in a very harmful way.
How would you differentiate that from weight stigma then?
I think it's interchangeable. I'm not 100% sure about that. I think weight stigma, I see it as like these microaggressions that people experience that they might not even be aware of. Because another thing with body image is it's like rooted in hating yourself and blaming your body. It's like backwards, right? Like, oh, I need to change so that I don't receive this treatment. Instead of, no, you deserve to be respected and loved and just treated equally, regardless of what you look like.
What a concept.
I know.
Wow, equal respect for all. Wow.
Crazy.
Man, I wish. It's so, and something that you've talked about too that I think is always really helpful for our clients is that internalized fat phobia when it is something we then put on ourselves. So speak to what that can look like.
So there's 3 different types of fat phobia. One of them is internalized, right? So when you grow up, I would explain it like, let's say that you're born, right? You're not born with these beliefs or these like self-judgments or this like self-blame, right? So you are taught this by your family, society, everything, right? Movies. And little by little, you start to internalize these microaggressions, macroaggressions, everything that you observe, and you start to create your own belief system. And little by little, this impacts obviously your relationship with your body, but also kind of your relationship with the world. But this is all internalized. You hear it as like your own voice, right? I don't deserve this. I need to do this. I need to change. I'm going to get rejected, right? And usually what I like to say is, this isn't your voice. Like, this is something that you were taught, and just how you were taught that. Like, there could be an unlearning, right? But it takes a lot.
It does.
Yeah.
So you said 3 types, right? Did you go through all 3? So
Internalized, externalized. So then it's you kind of putting that onto others. And institutionalized, which is what I mentioned, kind of like that straight-bodied, when you're not able to just like get access to what everyone gets access to. Airplanes, clothing, all of that.
Yeah, I think those categories are really helpful so that you can just further grasp like what's happening here.
Yeah, how deep
what am I experiencing here? Yeah, and also like with wrestling through the feelings that you have about it. Is it something I'm putting on myself, or that somebody else put on me, or that I feel like I don't have the same rights as somebody else, you know?
Like, where did I get this from? Like, why do I think this way? With everything.
Yeah.
But
I think what you said is so important too. Like, we aren't born feeling that way. That's something that we learn as we grow. And the beautiful thing about learning is that you can learn in new ways too. Like, you continue to learn. And so you don't have to be stuck with those beliefs, especially if they are causing you so much turmoil and so much distress. What would you say are like the ways that body image impacts us, like a negative body image impacts us health-wise, both from the mental health perspective and then also the physical health perspective?
Well, the physical is impacted by the mental, right? So if you have this negative body image that comes with that self-blame, guilt, right? I need to fix myself, right? That's going to impact your behavior with food and just how you approach your life. So if you're constantly in this self-blame, in this like very judgmental mindset, then you're going to feel horrible. You're going to feel unworthy. You're going to feel not capable. And then you're going to react from that.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to say, oh, I always fail. I'm never able to do this. I need to change myself. I'm not worthy. Right? And then you're going to feel like, ugh, then why even try? When you come from like a secure, good body image, then you're not really engaging in those harmful thoughts and that harmful mindset. So you feel more capable. You feel like, let's just do this one step at a time. Let me set small goals. How can I treat myself better? How can I love myself? How can I respect myself?
Yeah.
And this is something that comes up a lot too. Like, even the clothing that you wear, like the people that are like, no, I have to fit into these jeans and I'm going to wear them even if they're tight, right? That's like punishing yourself.
Yeah.
So it's that alone, you're literally triggering yourself all day. And then that leads you to react in certain ways with your relationship with food, relationship with movement. And I find that the more that we do the body image work, the better those behaviors get. The more forgiving, the more willing to learn, the more willing to just observe, instead of kind of sinking into that spiral of like self-blame and low self-worth and all of that.
And that's like really where sustainability is born out of, is like that grace and that compassion for yourself. Because when it's coming from this approach of punishment, like you said, and negativity, it's like really hard to maintain things that you start, even if they might be objectively healthy behaviors. If it's coming from this motivation or place of punishment, then you're setting yourself up for that all or nothing mentality of like, well, I didn't follow this perfectly. I'm just a failure. I'm never going to get this right. And then you drop off. But if it's more from a place of compassion and empathy for yourself and self-respect and all, then there's like even on a day that you might not have followed through with a goal that you had for yourself, instead of it then spiraling into something that is worse, you can pick yourself back up and be like, cool, tomorrow's another day. We'll keep going, and it's so much more sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think that's why that body image piece is so important, to just see yourself as a human that deserves respect and respect for yourself too.
Exactly.
But that can be difficult when you do live in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have any kind of fat phobia experience, any of those 3 categories, especially if you do live in a body that's larger than you feel like it should be, that can be so hard. So I think a lot of times we get this idea stuck in our heads that if I lose weight, then I will be happy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then I will have all my issues solved. Life is easier if you're skinny. Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels.
Forgot about that
one. Probably a lot of people did, and I just re-traumatized them, actually. So I apologize for that. But so we get that idea in our head, right? That like nothing is more important than changing this body and losing weight. From your experience working with people, do you think that actually helps?
That's also like it's very nuanced.
Yeah,
because I don't like it when people are like, no, it's not at all. Like, no, right? Because if you think about fat phobia, how do I explain it? Like, if you think about fat phobia, if you change your body, you will get treated differently, and I can't deny that. And somebody who denies that, that's a lie, right? So there are going to be these things that you might want that might be positive, right? Now, I think it depends on what ideals you're telling yourself will happen if you lose weight and if you don't do the work. Because I have met so many clients that have been at that lower weight and they're like, I was miserable. Like nothing changed. I was just working on overdrive and just not happy. And that's why they came to me, because they're like, no, I don't know what to do. Right now, I know that I have to like do this work, but I think there might be some benefits that you might get from it, but it's not a promise. So if you're promising yourself, oh, this is going to be great, I'm just going to lose my social anxiety, I'm going to feel great, I'm not going to criticize myself, my mindset is going to switch, right? Like I'm going to be so much more confident. That might not be the case. And that's why the internal work is important, because if you just focus on the weight loss, maybe you'll be happy, maybe you'll be more confident, maybe you'll lose the social anxiety, maybe the criticism will stop. But a lot of times I see that it doesn't. So the internal work can help you just, like I say, like why wait until to find out? Like just start doing the work now so you can just be happy, and then you can work on the behaviors.
Right.
Like it's not, people think that if they stop criticizing themselves, then their motivation will get lost. Like they won't have any motivation, but in reality,
like they're giving up or something.
Yeah, that's what's keeping you stuck.
Yeah.
You're just in this cycle of self-blame and self-criticism, when in reality, it's like, okay, no, you can feel happy right now and still work on changing your behaviors long term.
Yeah.
You'll just be happier now.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
I agree.
Yeah.
That intention is huge. And I think there's this perception that if you do that, where you stop criticizing yourself, punishing yourself, then you're giving up on your goals, or you're giving up on being healthy, or whatever it is. And that doesn't need to be the case. Giving up self-criticism can actually be the result of you digging in more to exploring those goals and behavior changes. But I love what you said, that there's some reality there from the institutionalized and externalized perspective, that you probably will experience less fat phobia or distress over your body image, depending on the situation. But internalized, there's no promise of that. And I think we all, I shouldn't say all, but a lot of us have had an experience of getting to a smaller body, and maybe initially we were happy with it, but then we found new things that we didn't like. We found new things to criticize, or then we moved the goalpost where we need to now lose more. I think another good example of how that's kind of fluid and not always reliable or a promise is when I hear this a lot from women that whenever they first started dieting, they look back at pictures of that moment and they're like, wow, I looked so good. Like what I would give to be that body now. But at the time I detested it. That's why I started dieting. And so just that self-perception is so huge in how you see the world and yourself. And I feel like it creates so much freedom to enjoy the process of changing behaviors. And do that sustainably.
And I always say, like, if you look for something to criticize, you're going to find it. Period.
Totally.
So that's a behavior. It's not like, oh, if I find something to criticize, then I need to change it. It's like, no, you're engaging in a behavior that is harmful to you, that you can reduce or stop.
That's an action you're taking that you can choose not to take.
And you can still have goals and see things that you want to change without this criticism.
Yeah. So good. What do you think is one of the biggest things that surprises people when they start to dig into body image work?
Like so many things. No. I think what surprises them the most is how intertwined it is in their lives. So once you start to like peel apart the layers, you start to really notice how it's just like a symptom of so many things. And once you start to really tackle it and see like, okay, what's really going on? Why are you relying on blaming your body, on criticizing your body, wanting to change your body? What is that providing you with? Because as a function, right? It's probably making you feel in control or better about yourself, whatever that is. And then how that also is parallel to a lot of areas in their lives. So a lot of times when they work on their body image, they start to see that other areas of their life start to improve too, because they're like, oh my gosh, like it's not just my body image. I'm actually able to be more social. I'm actually able to be kinder to myself. I don't know, build relationships, like so many things, work, all the things that they start to like open their eyes to. Yeah.
I love that. And it's like that self-criticism. You start to pick up on how you criticize yourself in other areas of your life too that are unnecessary.
Right. It's the behavior that you're using. It's not just on your body.
Yeah.
It's just your way of thinking.
Yeah. That's always really fun to experience, like through our clients' eyes, when they start to experience freedom in these ways. They're surprised by all the different areas that it's affecting too. Like, wow, I'm like feeling more confident at work now. Like I, went on a date. I signed up for a dating profile and I'm not as bothered anymore by these people in my life because now I'm not putting these things onto them that was actually just internalized thoughts, like all these things. It's so cool. And it's, I think, that's a big part of the reason why people walk away from doing work like this and they're like, oh my gosh, that was life-changing. That was so much more than I ever thought it would be. Like I came to this process to just feel better about food. And then I found out I really need to feel better about my body too. And now I feel better about everything.
Yeah. No, I'm great.
I love that. I love it for you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, what is something that you want any listeners to hear today about any body image tips or something that they can take away to start working on this process of improving their body image?
I think the self-blame, that it's not your fault, this is something you've been taught, and just because you think this way, it doesn't mean that that's the truth or the reality. We've been taught to do the work literally backwards, right? Like you have to change your body, you have to blame yourself in order to motivate yourself and feel better, when in reality it's the other way around. Like you got to start to do the work so that you can be happy. Like you're literally able to just be happy in whatever body you have. It's okay. It's legal. Nobody's going to punish you. Like you're not going to hurt anyone. You're allowed to be happy in your body, and it's not your fault that you keep blaming yourself and keep criticizing yourself, and there's a way out. Yeah.
I love that. It's not your fault.
It's not
That's
your fault.
The key takeaway.
Yeah.
We are so good at blaming ourselves and faulting ourselves and beating ourselves up, and it's really just keeping you more stuck.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's time to let that go, baby. It's time to let that go.
Let it free.
Find some freedom. Let it free. Live nourished and free, right?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, people can work with both of us if they would like by applying for Nourished and Free, which the information for that is in the show notes. If somebody feels like they want to dig more heavily into just the therapy piece and reach out with you for one-on-one stuff, what's the best way they can do that?
They can look me up on Instagram. I have all my options there, or they could just go to my website, danieladurazo.com, and just browse around in there as well.
Just take a gander. I'll put those links in the show notes too. But yeah, so thankful for your time today, and that we got to talk about body image. It is, like you said earlier, a very sensitive subject and one that not a lot of people want to broach, but I always appreciate the courage that you have to dive right in and bring up the hard issues, because it's important and it's a lot of times the missing piece for many women and men too. So yeah, thanks for being here. And we will put all the appropriate information in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you.